Front and Center. Front and Center. A focus on important and significant developments affecting the lives of Filipinos, not only in the Philippines, but also those living and working around the world. Join us in Front and Center. Front and Center. Here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service.
Welcome to Front and Center, where we focus on developments in the Philippines, legislation that provides policies and directions that strives to promote a better economy for the country, issues that concern the welfare and well-being of every Filipino. All of these and more will be Front and Center. And you can watch this program live on our Facebook page, Radyo Pilipinas World Service, and you can catch up this program on our YouTube channel of the same page, Radyo Pilipinas World Service. And you can hear us live on our audio streaming at Evox PBS receiver app. So join us for another edition of Front and Center with your host, Jerome Toledo.
Front and Center. Front and Center. Here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service.
And as of the moment, 72 fatalities and around 360 injuries were recorded since Tuesday night's magnitude 6.9 earthquake that struck northern part of Cebu, which devastated Bogo City, towns of San Remigio, Medellin, Daanbantayan, Tabuelan, and Tabogon. And search and rescue operations has concluded and has shifted its focus on retrieval operations and for its relief efforts. That's what the Office of Civil Defense has officially declared. And as for the response status, the OCD Region 7 has activated the Emergency Operations Center, or EOC, and the Regional Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Operations Center, or RDRRMOC in Central Visayas, raised a red alert status, fully mobilizing all response teams and its resources. And full-scale disaster response operations, including search, rescue, and retrieval operations, or SRR, were conducted, particularly concentrated in Bogo City, which is the epicenter of the earthquake and the hardest hit area. And not only that, the Bogo City received highest number of casualties. So that's more than 30 people have been killed regarding that earthquake. And also, the state of calamity was declared in several cities and towns, including Bogo City, San Remigio, Tabuelan, Medellin, and also the entire province of Cebu. Having said that, with the declaration of the state of calamity, the release of emergency funds and is now in motion, and that release will speed up aid distribution and disaster response operations. And yesterday, President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. visited Bogo City to assess the damage that the city sustained after the magnitude 6.9 earthquake there, which was happened Tuesday night. And he provided additional funding to address emergency needs and further mobilize relief operations. And President Marcos Jr. met with its chief local executives, spearheaded by its Cebu Governor Pam Baricuatro, and some other cabinet officials were present during that situational briefing there. And but before we let in our guest for today, the impact and the damage of the earthquake caused significant damage, including collapsed structures, power outages in numerous cities and municipalities, communication line interruptions, and damage to roads and bridges. So to get more details, and we will get an update on the situation in Bogo City, we now have on the line the emergency management expert and internationally certified search and rescue expert. We have on the line Dr. Ted Esguerra. Good morning, Dr. Ted. This is Jerome Toledo from Radyo Pilipinas World Service. Good morning.
Hi, maayong buntag. Greetings from Cebu. Right now, I'm here in Daanbantayan.
Oh, you're in
Actually,
the.
we are positioned in Bogo.
Mm-hmm.
So yesterday from Bogo, because there are lots of workers, rescue workers, humanitarian aid workers.
Mm-hmm.
So we were being staged to, we were assigned to specific locations where there are needs.
Mm.
And
Uh-huh.
I saw, I moved with several teams. With
Mm-hmm.
me are Makati Rescue, Valenzuela Rescue, Wilderness Search and Rescue,
Mm-hmm.
Energy Development Corporation, First Gen. Uh, I also work with the local React of Cebu,
Mm-hmm.
which provided us vehicles. And at the
Mm.
same time, Cebu-based Puersa and Rover teams who also guided us to go around
Mm.
to know the specifics so that we can really see white and bright which areas need a certain, like for example, if they need water,
Mm-hmm.
sanitation, hygiene, food, and non-food items. So yesterday we were in Medellin,
Mm-hmm.
and we also went to San Remigio.
Yeah.
And there are no more search and rescue operations that's needed.
In the.
Even retrieval, there are
Mm-hmm.
no more retrievals because the Air Force and the Bureau of Fire Protection cleared all those things.
Okay.
Because Cebu is one area with very good, highly trained rescuers also, and with adequate logistics. In fact, when we went to Myanmar, the Bureau of Fire Protection that joined us are mainly from Cebu because they have lots of breaching equipment.
Oh, okay. Okay, so Doc Ted, you mentioned about the two towns that doesn't have any search and rescue or search and retrieval. So San Remigio and Medellin, is that correct?
Yes, you know what they need? If you
Mm.
drive across the main roads from Cebu City
Mm-hmm.
going to Bago, when you are in Bago, you go to San Remio,
Mm-hmm.
in Medellin, and even down to up to Daang Bantayan. Along the roads, you will see families gathered just on
Mm.
the side of the road because they need water,
Mm-hmm.
they need food, they need tarps. It was just a blessing that yesterday we had no rain, and today I think the skies are clear because we will really have a problem because people don't like to go to their houses. That includes us because last night, to tell you honestly, we had no sleep because we keep on running. Of course, I did not run, but people
Mm.
keep on running and shouting because there were a series of aftershocks.
Yeah.
And
And
you know where we stayed? We stayed just in the bus terminal,
mm,
despite it was a strong structure. But the inner module had cracks already after the first blow of the earthquake. And the series of aftershock, which varies from even as like below every 15 minutes, created like a stigma not only amongst our responders but also particularly to the locals. That's why when
right.
you travel along the road, you will see that that they have placards asking for food, water, and other things.
So
But the good to know, I'll tell you a good note. Okay, I'll tell you two things. Number one, the government was really fast in settling the things. So we have here already like the SWD, even DENR,
yes.
and well, lots of lines are being restored. So nakakuryente na.
Right.
And in Daang Bantayan, I appreciate water already. Some lights, meron pa, but generators were provided. And lots of, there is even, okay, I'll tell you a good story. There's even one guy, Manong Roberto from Daang Bantayan. His building it destroyed, uninhabited. And he owns one of the rooms also there in that building. And he provides clean water, like a refilling station. And you know what he told me, despite his standing? Sir, can you please tell the government that I'm willing to install the things here, remove it here, and bring it to wherever evacuation center, so that they can have potable water. So despite the fact that this guy had his own trouble that his property is being destroyed, he went well, and that's a very good news. So yan ang gagawan ko ng paraan. I-report ko po yan para magamit po siya. So yun na po kailangan. Marami pong problema pa, but natutugunan. I need you, our campaign is for the relief services to come in, lalo na sa privado, that to give it to the DSWD so that it can be equally distributed to the communities in need.
So that's what the communities are needing right now. So water, food, and shelter. And you mentioned also about what we call a Bayanihan spirit there, because you mentioned
Yeah.
about a person that lends his some of his stuff.
Yes. In fact, when we were mobilizing here, another team joined us, the Makita Rescue Tools. They have advanced rescue tools.
Mm-hmm.
So they joined us so that we can make use of their rescue tools. You know where I used these rescue tools when I was in Turkey and in Myanmar, and I'm so happy that these tools are available in this country. So when we breach buildings and we go deep, the typical classical tools for breaching, mahirap na because I need to have a motorized power source. But using this Makita, I can go deep inside. And they went there, they said, "Oy, Doc Ted, we will provide you with logistics, even lights." They have lights that we use at night. So this is the Bayanihan spirit. The private sector are here. Someone will donate generator to me, and lots of people donating. So I go around with Makita so that in case there is a building that collapsed that might need breaching so that I can get casualty, I have all the necessary tools. That's Bayanihan.
I see. Okay, so heavy machinery is needed. So, by the way, can you, since you're in Daan Bantayan town in Cebu, can you describe how badly hit the area is?
Well, it's like business as usual already. The only iconic destruction that happened here is the church. If you remember in the social media, yung simbahan na may napagsak
Right.
on the first floor of the earthquake na
Yes.
may lights pang bumagsak. No, yun po yung simbahan. I'm in front of it right now. But the people are they are in the park. Lots of teams are coming here. I'm in front also of a primary care facilities, and they said together with this team from San Nicolas proper emergency response, they are from Cebu, and they augmented in the Daan Bantayan. And the Daan Bantayan primary care said, "Oh, we are already okay here." So they ordered this San Nicolas proper for a stand down. So ibig sabihin, they can already handle it on their own. So lots of teams, external teams are being demobilized already.
Okay. So, meaning to say, Daan Bantayan is not relatively devastated, but they're affected as well. But the Bogo city was totally devastated, as you trying to say. Is that correct, Dr. Ted?
Sir, we'll just I cannot. Okay, just continue. But we are checking a sinkhole right now. It's not yet being checked, so we will assess it. I reported it to the DNR, and once I go back to Bogo, I will report it to FIBOX. So I'm here now with Dr. Grace Malaga. Dr. Grace Malaga ng Cebu Normal University po. Actually, she's with me, and some students na nakadiscover may sinkhole na hindi pa naka-reflect sa ano.
Okay.
So pupuntahan po namin. In fact, she's from here, but in Central University, siya po dito. She's the one who also help us out to understand more. There might be other, silent or salient hazards we still did not see. So we will go there. Tingnan natin anong ma-update natin pag makitang sinkhole. Ang sabi ni Doktora, tayo daw ang Ceres Pass.
I see.
Ang kakaiba to.
Okay, Doctor, just a question po. Is that sinkhole near residential areas?
Ma'am, sagot. Si Doktora lang sasagot ha. Ma'am, sige.
Yes, sir. Good morning.
Hi, good morning po, ma'am. Just a question po. Malapit po ba ito sa residential area? Ito pong natuklas ng sinkhole?
Just beside the house of one of our students. At the back.
In front of the beach house.
It's in front of a beach house. In front of a beach house.
Beach house. Okay. So, is this safety of a resident there na compromise po ba? Kailangan na po ba nilang lumikas dyan or abandonahin yan?
Yung family ko po, sir, is lumikas po kasi winaringan po kami ng mga pulis na wag kami pupunta doon kasi yung isang bahay ng lola ko is nagiba.
So you're listening to one of the CNU students na malapit yung bahay nila sa sinkhole na sinasabi natin.
Malapit. Okay. So
She's gonna bring us there. She'll be guiding us. They will be guiding us to the actual site.
Okay.
Yeah.
Malaki po itong sinkhole na ito, ma'am, no?
Oo, yes sir.
Malaki and malalim.
Okay.
But we have
Malalim.
to see it for ourselves.
Okay. And
Sige.
lumalaki po ba itong sinkhole na ito? Just one lang.
Actually sir, hindi po na-visit namin ulit kasi po sir, ang delikado, tas may nakasign na
Naka-cordon na yung area.
Okay, salamat po, Doc Ted.
Yes, okay.
Sige po.
Ayan, okay.
Yeah.
Doc Ted, yun nga po na-mention nga po about dun sa sinkholes. And at the same time, may 3,000 mga aftershocks pang nararamdaman. So, marerekomenda nyo po ba sa mga rescue agencies natin na pabalikin po ating mga residente?
Well, it's a case-to-case basis. Yung iba naman kasi, the other families na sira konti, yung iba katabi na gumuho, yung katabi ayaw na rin. So sa Medellin yesterday, I was able to convince some people there. I said, this is structurally safe. You can just stay in the sala. You don't need to occupy the whole house. Stay in the sala, and in case it starts to shake, then you can easily be mobilized outside instead of you staying in the tent. So I was not able to do that. I just did that in one purok and one sitio in Medellin. But it's a case-to-case basis. But right now, the government is looking ways to provide tents to
Right.
relocate those displaced families.
President Marcos Jr. po kasi ay nagsabi po na they will establish a tent city nga in place of those houses that were damaged by the earthquake. And speaking of the aftershocks that I'm talking about, Doc Ted, so we have more than 3,000 aftershocks that was recorded at this time. So how does this aftershocks impact rescue efforts po?
Well, the aftershock, it affected us because we ended up running also every time there's tremor. And just, and with the policemen, Bakat Rescue, react in the terminal. And it disturbed us. So even our kain is also disturbed because, of course, there's scarcity because our food is also being distributed to those who are in it. We cannot just, eat and the others are not eating. So the aftershock is very disturbing amongst us kasi we need rest because we are working all day. And then in the evening, kulang sa tulog. Kasi, it starts to shake. So yun lang po.
Oh, I see. Okay, so just 2 questions po, Doc Ted, before I let you go. Okay, so moving forward, how can we impact? Or by the way, so I remember this question po. In your observation there po, at sa mga pagtatanong po ninyo sa mga residente, obserbahan po ba nila itong tinatawag na duck cover and hold?
Well, in earthquake, that's the common survival maneuver. That there are lots of survival maneuvers when you have an earthquake. Cover and hold. You can do tripod position. You can do hold the wall. Number 4, you hold the post, or stay in a defined safe area like in South America. They call it zona segura, secured zone in the middle of the building kasi they strictly follow building code. Lahat ng elevator and elevator shafts are in the center of the building. So nakita nila na ang elevator shaft ay matibay. Kaya yun mga ganun, no? We are still learning along the way on how to really explain, deep dive into earthquake maneuver and earthquake survival.
Okay. So moving forward, Doc Ted, how can we impart to our kababayan the significance of this measure and other earthquake safety measures po?
Pardon, Paulit?
Moving forward, how can we impart? Paano po natin ipapalaganap po itong ganitong mga safety measures po? Like yung duct cover and hold?
Okay. You will have like, there must be 4 institutions which should cover it. No? Kasi it's not really like coming from the shoulder of the government. No? It should be bayanihan.
Yeah.
So in the campaign, the government, mainly they will champion it. Number 2, the church, the schools, and lastly, strengthening our the corporate entities. So if we have these 4, in bayanihan, helping each other, particularly in the campaign towards protection or towards earthquake, because earthquake is the topic today, earthquake survival, we can fast track it if these 4 will be talking to each other and escalating more procedures in how to survive. Kasi ang problem, like last night, every time there is tremor, I have not seen everyone doing drop cover and hold, because drop cover and hold is not the only thing to do in earthquake survival. And that's we keep on teaching them as if it's a one size fits all.
Yeah.
Nakaupo ka sa bowl, paano ka mag-drop cover and hold?
Yeah.
Parang tipong gano'n, no? So kailangan maturuan pa ng ibang earthquake survival. See, there will always be issues na, where are you? How strong is the earthquake? So lalo na yung dalawa, and what time of the day did it did it happen?
Right.
So yung tatlo na yan.
Yeah. Okay. So those things are need to be considered. Need to be considered there, and also Metro Manila must be prepared as well, because this earthquake struck in a city, in a provincial city. But what happens if a earthquake strikes Metro Manila? So that's going to be a lot of casualty there. So Metro Manila residents must be ready for this, as we call it, the big one. Is that correct, Dr. Ed?
Again, Metro Manila is not only the one which will have a big one.
Okay.
We also have other bigger ones in other areas. It can be from the trenches or faults. So we just need to refocus ourselves, because if we just think of Manila, we might be compromising other parts. But okay, let's talk about Manila. Right. Manila is the center of trade, center of the seat of power. When we talk about the government.
Yeah.
We are a mega city, high density. We really have a problem. So, from a perspective of a disaster operator, because I don't like to talk like a politician, and I don't like to talk like a geologist or a seismologist. I would like to talk in the perspective of a man who responds to disaster around the world. I've seen one too many how people die. One, they die because the earthquake is so strong. And the hazards following it. For example, if it's tsunami, that's gonna be crazy. So I've seen post-tsunami in Japan 2011, and I've seen post-tsunami in Indonesia. So tsunami is crazy. Number 2, people die because of poor governance. Meaning, if you cannot impose strong building codes, comprehensive land use program, urban planning, then we will have a problem with that.
That's right.
Number 3, people die because of lack of training. They don't know what to do. They just run. And when they run, the more they have trouble. Okay?
Yeah.
Number 4, because of lack of training, they cannot teach it. And 5, I know lots of people will get mad at me. There are those who just get the science, but they are not it. Meaning, you just like the fancy of it. But when you teach it, you don't know earthquake, you have not seen one, how it happens, probably because you're not a rescuer. Then you start teaching it. A thing that when you teach a thing that is not really part of your imagination, that is where what we call a short-handed learning comes in. Whether you like it or not, there are 2 ways that a man must be taught. Number 1, you will be taught on observation. You keep on reading and looking around. And number 2 is by experience. So modestly aside, I have lots of experience here and abroad on earthquake. And of course, I studied earthquake science. formerly in India. So I understood this. I don't say I'm the expert. Incidentally, it's just like being a doctor. When you're a cardiologist, you specialize on the heart. So I specialize on disaster operations.
Right.
So the problem is when you have people who are not into that and they start to be like leading, yet they have no imagination, I don't say they're wrong. There will be short-handed imagination or understanding of the event. And how can you teach it when you are not even adept or well-versed
That's right.
on the science and ethics of it?
All right. Very well said, and I hope our viewers there has learned something from the search and rescue expert. That's Dr. Ted Esguerra. But by the way, we don't have much time. Dr. Ted, thank you so much for accepting our invite, and stay safe. And I commend you for partaking in saving lives of our kababayans there in Cebu. Thank you so much,
Salamat
Dr.
po. Sana pwede na lang Tagalogin. Naubos yung 2 dosena kong English.
Alright. No, okay, not a problem po, Dr. Maraming salamat po. Mag-ingat po kayo.
Okay, not at all.
Okay. So that was search and rescue expert and management or emergency management expert, Dr. Ted Esguerra. And with that, we now conclude this edition of Front and Center here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service. Together with our production team headed by Mr. Milo Janela and Hiro Lucero on Warcast. This is your host, Jerome Toledo. Until next time, mabuhay. Love the Philippines.
Front and Center. Join us again for another edition here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service. Front and Center.